everyone. Happy Saturday. Um, I was going to do a supply haul this weekend, but plans went a little awry. And I am not feeling my best. I'll talk about it a little bit at the end. But I did want to go ahead and do this flip through of some new books I got. I got this gorgeous book I wanted to show. I picked up, after watching somebody's video on pattern books, I picked these up based on recommendations. I also have some digital downloads of individual pages and a Deborah Muller book that I downloaded digitally, but of course is available via Amazon. I'm going to put chapters, jump links in the description so you can watch specifically what you'd like. I'm going to save I'm going to save Deborah's book for the end so I can scroll through it on my desktop. It's just easier that way than fumbling with pages that are not bound. Plus, I need to replace my ink cartridge in order to actually print the darn thing out. So, all right, let's go ahead and get started. So I can't remember, but I did see this on somebody else's channel, and on Etsy I found it titled as Flower Path of Cats and Cute Friends by Aikawa Sora. And I've seen some books by this artist before. I may even have one or two, but they're usually really cute. But of course, this one has cats, and so it caught my eye. I'm going to post the store I was able to order it from. There are some stores that I regularly use, but you might want to check their about page or their policies on Etsy, because when I tried to order it through their site, they told me they couldn't ship it because of the current U.S. tariff situation. Not going to go into that. It just is what it is right now, I guess. Um, but I was able to find this through a different seller. But they, of course, probably only have so many copies. So if they're sold out and you do want this, and you do see it on a store, then like I said, just be sure to check their policies if you live in the US. If you don't, then lucky you. But besides that point, you could probably disregard that. But just a heads up, I did run into trouble with that. So this has like a plastic cover on the page or on the book. I guess you theoretically could color that if you want to. And just randomly flipping through it, I've got to say this might be one of the cutest. I say that about all my Japanese and Korean books, is they always end up being the cutest, but like this one seriously is pretty good, I've got to say. I think it's just a cat catting as they do. Love these little ones with the borders like this. I think these are probably some of my favorites. That, at first I thought that, oh, that is the cat. Wow, his neck is long. There's a cat I follow on Instagram. Um, what is his name? I think his mother's name, like they had adopted a mother and her kittens, and the mother cat's name's Gandalf, and I can't, Dave's his name, and She does videos and jokes all the time about his super long neck. I'm not as big on the full scene pages as I am like these little excerpt, the way these pages are done like this. Got some capybaras, some squirrels, some kangaroos, like you got all kinds of animals. Oh, that cute little fox. I love how they draw all the different animals. Oh, the little heart. Oh, now that's adorable. Well, that escalated quickly. Now they got a whole line of little minions. I would say if you don't like flowers or coloring nature that much, this may not be the book for you. I don't color flowers very much, but I don't think this is too bad. I really love this perspective. I've seen some other pictures where like the animals on the branches are looking down at like the ground at whatever's down there. I've seen a couple and I really like that perspective. It's just different. Oh, okay. Hopefully it was still recording. I need to remember it does that. I've had to change my monitor settings just to make sure. I don't have my monitor issues. Now, hopefully that long-haired cat's just a buddy, because otherwise this cat is getting around town. I guess he would be catting around. You're like, dang, he's busy. I think these scenes, like, they concern, they I don't like them as much because they're harder with the bigger spaces to like fill in stuff, and I guess that's where like some textures from some of the like technique type books that have come out lately would probably help. Or if I could actually sit down and watercolor and feel like I'm not gonna bork up an entire page with it. Of course, I like that one. Yeah, like I said, take the cute one of the cutest books with a grain of salt because I think that every time I open one of these books. I really like those two. I like this one a lot. And then in the back you get like little probably the titles of the pictures if you want to use like a translation app. And then I guess like they're little like postcards if you want to color them and send them. Though I wish they would have taken these and like put them across the whole card. That's a little weird. Yeah, I feel like these need to be more centered and blown up on the cards. I feel like they're too a little too tiny, but so I probably won't use these. However, they're there, so I'm gonna show you. Yeah, it is weird how those got cut off, but whatever. It's a cute book. Here are some others I think that are Aikawa Sora. I don't know what the translations of those are, but I will link it to the, ooh, I like this on the back. This is good if I'm trying to decide what color I want to do the cat. Yeah, he might be orange striped. We'll see. So there's that. All right, so Happy Catastrophe, hopefully I can link the video. If not, I'm going to put it in the description. Has a really cool video that I haven't seen very much, but I'm sure other people have done, where she takes like the pattern books and reviews them. And the only one I have is the Coco Wyo one, which where that is at in all my piles, I couldn't tell you. Is that it? Yes. Nice. It's right here on top. So when I would say probably when coloring really took off on like TikTok and Instagram and stuff, patterns and taking cute and cozy pages and like doing textures and patterns to them really became like a big thing. And then like I think Coco Wyo put out a book. Other people put out books on different patterns. I picked this one up. I at the time wasn't big, keen on the idea of doing a whole lot of different patterns and textures and stuff. And I found that I've been using this more, probably in September than I thought I would. And then I would also say you don't necessarily have to have these pattern books. Oftentimes, I will go and like the crystals I did on the Dragon Miniatures page last month. I did them like galaxies. And people asked me where I got those. I think I just looked up galaxy coloring tutorials on Instagram, and I can't, I don't think YouTube's going to let me link to specific tutorials on Instagram, but that's how I found the tutorial on the galaxy. And then I saved it because I'll probably use it later for actual like galaxy backgrounds. But and I just incorporated that. So oftentimes you can just search within your social media app and find something. I've managed to do that. However, again, that's a little harder to do. You have to go through, maybe a bunch of videos before you find the one you're looking for, the right technique, the right type. So I would say you don't necessarily have to buy one of these if you're looking to save money. Using the search tool on like Instagram or TikTok probably is the way to go. However, and that's what I figured is I would use a few things in here and then use that. But I found I was using more of these and I wanted more patterns and things to go off of, because of course this only covers so much. Anyway, I say all that to say that Happy Catastrophe had a video where she reviewed some of the pattern books that are out there, and she had the Coco Wyo one, which she recommended, but there was another publishing company, I guess, I hadn't heard of before, and they had this You Can Color This series, and she talked about how much she enjoyed these. She was showing like some of the patterns, and I was very interested in this, and so I thought I would pick it up. But then she also showed that they had a Magical Worlds one. Y'all know how much I love fantasy. And then when I went to order both of these, apparently they just released this one. Y'all know how much I love to color Halloween. So I just went ahead and picked up all three. It's been a rough couple weeks, and definitely I am one of those people that can easily be, you don't have to twist my arm to go buy something when I'm tired and stressed out. So we'll go ahead and flip through all three of these, and that way, you can decide if you want one, if you want, if one of these in particular suits your mood, if you want, but if you want two of them or if you want all three. Sorry, I had to take a drink. All right, so this was the original. You can color this. And these books, they're a little, I think they were like 13, 15 US. So I mean, they're a little pricey for sure. You do get a lot of tutorials. And this one, I can't remember how the Coco Wild. You can go to, and I'm again going to link her video in the description. I would highly recommend going to her video and watching, because she does show like one or two other books as well. There's one other she recommends that I just decided not to get. But she really goes into detail about the differences between the books and everything, which I'm not going to do here because I felt like she did great and no need to reinvent the wheel. But I loved it. It was a unique video, and it was something that I needed myself to know, is, you know, how these books turn out. So I do like you get palette inspirations here. So they also give like some different pattern ideas. Lot of tutorial information here on like lights and shadows and coloring things different ways. This actually probably would come in very handy for me. You got unique theme ideas here, so I may not flip through all that if it's at the beginning of each book. So how to color bushes. And I do like you get more than one way in this book. Like here's varying levels of realism. Got tree bark, trees. This is what I was talking about, like in that book, the Aikawa book I just showed you. Like there's a lot of open spaces with the trees and stuff. And putting in a pattern like this, converting this to like a water-based marker or watercolor and acrylic paint pens, because those are double-sided. You wouldn't want to use alcohol markers in there. But this gives you, you know, some good pattern ideas. Excuse me. And I think there's some books, like the other book she recommended is more realistic, I guess, looking, with some of the pictures. So like if this slightly cartoony, like some of these look realistic, but if you prefer like I'm saying like a lot smart. If you prefer a lot of realism in how you do textures and things like that, you may want to look at some different books. I don't mind it looking not realistic. But again, I'm a big fantasy person. Oh, I love that tropical water. I've got to find an opportunity to use that. The reflecting water is interesting. So you've got like lilies and stones, concrete, steel plate. It's getting harder and harder to flip this. I'm almost wondering if I should move to the back. I don't know if I necessarily like that gold. And that's the thing. They're not all hits. You know, some of these probably have things you don't particularly like as much. But again, that's where, you know, as long as the majority of the book I like, I can search on social media to kind of fill in the gaps. The footprints in the snow is cute. I would say the wood grain in this one is not, is a very quick, like, that's one thing when it comes to textures and like making things like this. I can be very lazy some days. Some days I'm willing to put in the work to really make it pop. And then some days I just want like a simple wood grain. Something to give it a little oomph, but like I don't want to spend so much time on it that I don't want to spend hours and hours on it. Other people might, but I just usually am not in the mood for that. And I like that cloudy sky. And so that wood grain is probably appealing for me when I'm in a pinch and I want a wood grain texture, but I don't want anything too complicated. But I would say like there are other better looking wood grain textures. I really like that cloud though. Interesting way to color a crystal as well. I haven't practiced in these at all. I like the clear jelly. I don't think they have gelatinous cubes in any of the books I color in, but that's like a big thing in, I guess, like the D&D world. And that's what made me think of that when I saw that. Cosmic jelly looks fun, where you have like a jellyfish. Glowing stones. I like sort of the unique textures here in the back that you wouldn't think of so much. Again, I've seen tutorials like this on social media where you add in a background that may not be there with like trees and stuff. I like the idea of the balloon. I am not enjoying going over blackline art with acrylic marker though, let me tell you. I have tried that in a couple pictures lately and it just takes forever. I like this one, shows you different fruits and colors to use. The diagonal plaid. I have a good plaid pattern I like, but I don't have the diagonal one. That would be fun. And then like a simple bow pattern. I think the fluffy fur is interesting. I like the hair. It's, you know, like this is a fairly um, easy looking hairstyle. Again, sometimes I'm just not into complexity, especially on the like cute and cozy type pictures. All right, so you can color this the tan one. That's kind of what you get. The next one up is Magical Worlds. I think this assumes that you have the other one and like you have a base idea of things, but I wouldn't go so far as to say you've got to, like this one doesn't have all the tutorial stuff. Instead of individual tutorials, I've created sets of tutorials that can be combined and do an entire page. Cool. You can get additional practice pages in the Etsy shop. Yes, this one doesn't have as much detail. If you want like that big chunk in the front, yeah, you're probably going to need to get the original book. But this made me think of the Fire Princess off of Adventure Time. Coloring like statues. I have a portal page. This would be an interesting way to do that. Does this go? Okay. Cool. This goes in the individual pages then. Or individual elements of that. I like that wood grain pattern. a lot more. And I like that portal idea. There was another portal one I saw online too, but this one looks a little bit more complicated. Again, keep in mind these are alcohol markers, but I think if you got a little creative, you could recreate some of this with like water-based markers if need be, maybe colored pencils and like acrylic markers, or watercolor for like the base. Oh, and you can color your own one there. Very cute. Oh, I see. So it's showing like an entire page, and then that is really cool. I don't do a lot of pastel, but that is actually quite cute. Really love that water. I'm not very good at using, I've noticed I'm not doing any practicing in here. I'm kind of, again, lazy. That's cute. I'm kind of lazy and I'll come in here and I'll look, see how I do it, and then I'm going to try to do it. The page I'm working on is my practice page. And sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. I wouldn't recommend that. I'd recommend if you have the time to practice, here to figure out what works and what doesn't. I love the little forest ghosts. I love that dragon. Actually, I love everything in this picture. The sky, all of it. I think it's an interesting concept showing how to color individual elements on a page so that you can create like an entire, you can build the textures on one individual page. Little lava rock. The Worley art books that I have that I haven't colored in usually have more of like a magical element. Not all of them, but some of them have a magical element to them, and this is kind of where I'm thinking some of this is going to be done. That's actually, you could, that's a shell house, but you could even, like, if you take the green out, though you could do the green too. Oh, that gives me an idea. It almost looks like a dress, and I was like, you could kind of color it like a dress. You could have moss in the dress, and that actually gives me an idea for a picture that I need to work on. See, that's what I'm talking about. Like, love this mermaid tail. Love the brick pattern here. I like the leaf. I don't know if I love the fairy wings. Like maybe if you did the white, if you like whited out the dark line, I would like it a little better. But that, I mean, that's your call. Again, that requires me going over a line with a white acrylic or gel pen that actually does what it's supposed to do, and I don't have to use 5 layers. to cover the line art. So there's Magical Worlds, and finally, the one I didn't see that just happened to be out is Spooky Worlds, and of course it is spooky month. Again, just a building balance palettes. I like this information. 60, 30, 10. I don't think I've ever looked at it like this before, so this is it's an interesting concept. I like the color matrix. I've seen that for like watercolors and stuff, but I don't know if I've ever seen doing it for markers, but I like that idea. There's some really good like color theory concepts in here that I haven't seen people talk about much. Spooky color palettes, color swatches in this one. I don't typically need those, but so a few extras in this, which is nice. Pumpkin Witch. Trying to figure out where that pattern comes into play. Oh, it's supposed to be the dress, but for some reason they don't. I guess you would do it up here. Okay, yeah. Cat Ghost. I liked this. I have used a certain way of doing ghosts last month and this month, and I'm kind of over it. Though this also involves a white outline, which you wouldn't have to do, I guess. But this follows a very similar concept, but it looks like you're using, no, this might actually be the way I'm doing it. It would be interesting to just leave it like that. I like the little vampire guy. Adorable, but also a little creepy if you add in the blood. I love the patterns, like the clothes patterns, because it's not something you would expect. I enjoy these very much. I can see myself using this quite a bit. The zombie one's interesting. And the monster one. I love the fur texture on the monster one. Love that broom texture. I like that moon too. I wish I had looked a little harder when I was doing the moon in my 31 miniatures. Well, let's be honest, I probably wouldn't have taken the time to do that. It's an interesting velvet pattern. I don't know if it necessarily looks like velvet, but it definitely looks like a softer texture cloth. So I think that's pretty good. I really like these castle walls. I had never thought about using the uh, charcoal, or you can use pastel pencils. I I don't think I ever thought about that. Spiderweb. Oh, cool. They give you an idea of how to draw it there. I was like, if you don't freehand very well, that might be difficult. I like the stormy night sky. I love the spooky castle. I think the idea of like coloring the background, then creating your texture on top is kind of a new concept for me. I tried that in a picture last month and I was like, oh wow, this actually made it quite easier to do that. Simple spooky patterns like that. I had to find an easy way to draw bats the other day. I like the little eyeballs in the plaid. Cool color, and then if you wanted to add like a blood stain to it. It's so cute. Ooh, like Galaxy Ghosties, that's adorable. There's another, would be an interesting portal one. And you can have a whole page. Oh no, hang on. Sorry about that. But yes, I am very pleased with this. I like all three books actually, and in just paging through them now, I already am getting ideas. So, um, like I said, I think these are a good addition. If you do, I would say get one book. If you haven't really tried textures or patterns or whatever, maybe you're kind of old school like me. And I used to just do mostly stencils, and I still use my stencils because I don't like drawing freehand as much. But um, if you want to get a try at it, I would suggest either picking up one of these, maybe the Coco Waya book, maybe one of the books Happy Catastrophe recommends. Try it, see if you like it. Like me, if you end up liking it more than I do, then or more like I ended up doing, then I think these are a good addition to your set, particularly, and it just really depends on what you like coloring. If you're just mostly standard stuff, this would be fine. If you like magical fantasy stuff, and then if you like Halloween stuff, and then you could also, you don't necessarily have to do this. You can also just this the search on social media and on Google is free. And there's enough people putting out tutorials now that you should be able to find something. I've been able to with relatively little trouble. Sometimes I have to go through a couple of videos because I just don't like the way they're doing it. Um, so you don't have, this is one of those, don't feel like you're missing out. I don't know if you can get these exact ones on there. If you can and it's not from Willow Lake, I don't know what the sitch is there, but anyway, I just wanted to show you what was in these, and then you can, I'm not going to tell you how to spend your money. I am the last person to tell anybody how to spend their money. All right, so now I have some digital Etsy downloads. I'm going to show you the Sugah. I always want to say Sugah Sweet pictures that I picked up for fall. And then I have a Deborah Muller book that I'm going to show you on my computer. We're going to do like a digital scroll. A, because I haven't printed it out yet. And B, it's a lot easier when you have unbound than when you have unbound pages and you're trying to flip. So anyway, so Sugah Sweet, if you're not familiar with him, he's an artist that he's pretty active on social media, and he's done a number of books. The Cat 22 books, if you've seen those, the Big Book of Burdens was his, like Bardens was his most recent one. I like his art style. It's different than I see from a lot of other independent artists. He has really good videos on using, he has a really cool color pencil collection. And he has a lot of really good videos showing those. He has a great video on colorless blenders, like the blender pencils for colored pencils that if I ever get around to doing a recommendations video, like that is going to be there, because I think it's useful across the board. It got me starting to use them again. So anyway, he has an Etsy store as well, and he has really cool pictures on there. And so I downloaded a couple fall-centric ones. We have the Fall Cat one, And I will put these in order in the Etsy description if you want to go look for them. Then I think this one is under Holiday Kitties, and there's two. So there's this one. Again, love the top-down perspective like this. I think it's really different. And then the Cauldron's cat. Those come together in a set. Then this one, I can't remember the name of it. This one's really interesting concept though. I'm going to show you in the digital flip through. This is actually created as a buddy color if you want to do it that way. So what happens is you basically get 3 pages. You get one with the entire image on it, and then you get 2 pages with the image kind of chopped up, like chopped in half. So what you would do is then either get a friend, or I mean, I guess you could theoretically mail it to somebody if you wanted to, and then you complete one side, they complete the other. You get both, and then you kind of combine them together into this image, which is a really cool idea. But since we're already in fall, I don't want to do that. I probably just want to do the picture as is. But he has some pages like that in his Etsy shop, and I think those are really interesting. So it's a unique idea. I haven't seen an artist actually create a page like that, or I don't see it very often. I feel like I've seen it somewhere before, but it's not very often, and I like that idea. Then there's a 4 Witch Cat series where it is cats casting spells. I really like that he goes ahead and puts the shading in here. This will be a fun series to complete. I'm not as optimistic as I was a couple weeks ago about what I can do this month. So if I can't get these this month, this might be a fun one to do for November. So yeah, I got all those linked. All right, let me hop over to the digital side of the flip through. All right, so what I was talking about with the Sugah Sweet page, Sugah Sweet, that Southern in me, just can't wrap my brain around it. This was what I was talking about. So you get 3 pages total. You get the picture in its entirety, but you get 2 versions that are split. So you can say like this page was colored by my color buddy, and then here's your other half of the picture. So that way 2 people can color it separately without having to cut the page yourself, and then you can cut it out if you want and pull it all together. And I think that's such a neat concept. So but you can also just get the picture in its entirety. Okay, so of course, this is Deborah Muller's peak season for her art, as we all know and love. And she did one that was unique to me. At least I felt like it, because like the Tiny Terrors concept, and I waffled on this for about a week, and then I was like, all right, well, I'll pick up the digital version of it. So this is what the cover looks like. This is available on Amazon, and I believe also available as an artist edition on her website. So we are going to show the images from this. Oh, do they have names? Oh, they have names. Cute. Here's your little voodoo doll. That one eye. Oh no, Morgana looks pretty rough. I don't know if I want to fight her. I might pass on that. And it's not all just regular people portraits. Like there's different, like you got this weird skull baby thing. I don't know. They don't all just look like regular people's portrait type thing, you know? Very unique. That looks a little creepy. Oh no. No, 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 no. 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 That you, if I were to ever finish this book, you are going to be last, sister. Just no. So small, she's riding on the cat. I love that. Just an interesting set of spooky, not just people, but like spooky creatures and cat, fox, girl. I like they have names. That's fun. Good things are not happening in that ocean. I have no idea what that is. Like some of these things are a little terrifying. Not the skeleton in the skirt though. That is oh Grendel. Grendel's living their best life. Pet spider. Yeah, I'm not so sure about that. It's so hard with Deborah Muller books, y'all. I know her style's not for everybody. And it wasn't for me for a long time. Like the first few years, I just really didn't particularly like her style, but it's just really grown on me. Wait, we don't have a name for her? Oh, there it is, Betty. Pfft, of course. Oh, there's the cover. But yeah, it's hard with Deborah Muller, especially this time of year because she's putting out so she's got a Vamps book I like that just came out. There's a Hippie Witches one that's out. But I just have to make decisions, you know, like I just can't do them all. Oh my gosh. Um, but okay. So let me wrap this up. So that's it for flip throughs. I just realized, like, you're probably wondering where all these slashes came from. BMO actually got me last night, and she normally keeps her claws in, but it's been a weird week. I think all the cats are feeling kind of weird. But yeah, I think so. I've been doing one book out, one book in rule. I've been doing really good with that. I think, however, I'm going to make an exception because these aren't, you know, typical coloring books. I'm going to make an exception on these. But I did get the even digital books. So the Tiny Terrors book I got a check one now. So I have been doing that, even for the digital books. Digital pages, I don't really, because, I mean, unless I downloaded like 50 pages, then I probably would. But, you know, for a handful of pages, it's not, I'm not going to worry too much about it. But no, I've been doing good with that. Yeah, so that's it for the flip throughs. If you don't want to, if you're not worried about my life or you have other things to do, I completely understand. Um, I do not know what my next video will be. I thought it would be the supply hauls next weekend. It just couldn't come together. Um, I'm probably going to do a color and chat, but I am not sure when that's going to be, and I'll explain why in a minute. Actually, no, the supply haul is going to be the weekend after next. if I can do a mid-month check-in next weekend. Now, if I just can't get that together and there's not much to show y'all, then, we might just bypass that this month. But that's kind of the plan. And then I'm assuming the week after that will be completed pages for October. So y'all kind of have an idea of like what my weekend videos are going to be for the remainder of the month. Subject to change. Um, I also bought, I also bought a few more things that I need to put in the supply haul. Oh gosh. Anyway, okay, but just a quick update in case I can't get to that color in chat. I might come back tomorrow with a color chat and go in more detail about it. But essentially, Big Arrow had a senior wellness appointment a couple weeks ago. If you've been following, he is actually, I've said he's 16. He is not 16. He is 18. And I just can't keep up with the cat's ages. He's been consistently losing weight. He's had a host of health problems, and we were just assuming, nothing could be done. We couldn't really find a cause. Well, I noticed he was breathing a little hard, a little harsh, and set him up for a senior wellness, which he was due up anyway for a full blood workup. And his thyroid came back just through the roof, and he's maxed out on medicine. So we think like he just had it checked back in June. So it really just went out of whack like the last 3 or 4 months. And that's been a huge contributor probably to his weight loss. So, however, because even though he's 18, my vet thinks he's a good candidate for, it's a radioactive iodine treatment. It's called 131. And there's a couple places in Nashville that now offer it. So I took him last Wednesday for a consultation. When she was listening to him, she noticed an arrhythmia. So she wanted to do an echocardiogram, a ultrasound, and some other things. Because if he does qualify, he has to be there for 4 or 5 days isolated. And so if he's having any sort of heart issues, which is something the overactive thyroid can cause, she wants to make sure he doesn't go into congestive heart failure while he's there. So they did all that, and it turns out he does have moderate heart disease. From what they saw in his, like the left side of his heart's thickened and enlarged, that is in line with a thyroid-related heart disease. So the problem is he is very early potential congestive heart failure, which is good we caught it. And I was not crazy when I noticed him breathing weird. But the good news is if he can get through this treatment, there's a very good chance that some of the heart issues will reverse because it's his overactive thyroid that's causing it. So if we can just get him treated for it, it might resolve a lot. It's going probably more than likely in 95% of cases resolve or walk back some of the health issues he has. It's like a life-changing treatment for him. The problem is we got to get him there, and we got to make sure he doesn't go into congestive heart failure while he's isolated after that treatment, because they can give him medicine, but they can't really like touch him. So we have heart meds for a week. We're going to go back, see if they've helped. If everything's good, then, he could go the 20th. But basically we're trying to beat a clock. And ever since we got back from that distressed him a lot being there. I've noticed, I think he's breathing just a little bit harder the last couple of days, and I have just been inconsolable because I don't know if this is going to work out. I don't know if we're going to be able to keep him stable enough to do this and be there for 4 or 5 days, because he just gets so distressed. And it doesn't seem like much, but I know for him it's a lot to ask. But if we don't do this, he's probably not got a whole long time, particularly because it will just continue to cause heart issues, even though we're treating his heart disease and stuff. It'll just continue to get worse. He'll continue to drop weight. So this is like a Hail Mary, basically. And it stands a very good chance of giving him a good quality life. But I'm until before I found out about his heart, I was more optimistic about it. Now I don't know. I don't know if we're going to be able to, if it's all going to come together. And it's just really hard for me. I'm exhausted. I'm just worried about him all the time. He seems worse in the evenings than he does during the day. And he is acting normal, except he's just breathing a little harder. But it's one of those things where they're like, well, maybe you could bring him in and we could recheck just to make sure it hasn't gotten worse. And I'm like, but if I bring him in and it hasn't gotten worse, then that extra appointment he's got to go to is going to cause more stress on him. So like anyway, I've just really been wrestling with all this. It's been hard to navigate. And because of that, I started coloring, Monday and Tuesday this week, and then Wednesday it just all went to hell. And so I'm going to try to color some this weekend. Like I said, I'd like to do a color chat and talk about all this in detail, but I don't know if I'm ready to talk about it before I know if we can do this, because I don't want to talk about it too much, get my hopes up, and then something go wrong. Part of me just wants to wait and talk about it after everything's said and done. So that's why I'm hesitating on that. And I don't know if there's a lot of other stuff. I'm saying a lot now. I don't know if there's a lot of other stuff I can talk about right now, because my head's in that space and that anxiety's just spiraling. And it's like, it feels like it's a waiting game, and every choice I have with him right now doesn't feel like it has risks with it. There's no just good, solid, low risk choice right now. And I also get upset because there's no way I could have possibly caught that sooner. I mean, I watch the cats like a hawk, but it's still that guilt of maybe if I caught it a few months ago, maybe if we had been able to figure out this was happening, we wouldn't have gotten this far along. But, you don't know, but it still eats away at me. So now I'm going to get upset if I think about that too much. So, yeah, I did a video at least this weekend, but that's kind of just what's going on right now. I thought it would be a pretty straightforward month, and then when the vet called me about his thyroid and the options we had, thyroid surgery is not really an option just because it's way expensive. It's even higher risk than the 131, because they could nick another organ while they're trying to take out his thyroid, and like it could put him, and plus him being sedated at that age is a high risk, and now that he's got heart disease, that would even put him at a higher risk. So like surgery part's not an option. This is a really safe option for him. It's just getting him stable enough to be able to be in isolation to get through it. And so that's what we're trying to do right now. And I think I'm going to be in pieces probably until, knock on wood, fingers crossed, he can do this, he gets through it, and he comes home. And he's, he starts to improve. I don't think I'm going to feel any better until we're there. So, but we will manage it best we can. What I don't color this month, I will just color next month. So, hope everybody else is having a good weekend. It was also a very busy week at work, and I was not in the headspace for it. So yeah, like I said, that's kind of the plan. Mid-month coloring log, for the next 3 weekends. Mid-month coloring log, supply haul, and then completed pages. I guess, I don't know when yeah, I guess it would be the 31st or the 1st of November. Hopefully a color chat, hopefully a different video here and there, but it's really just going to depend on where my head's at. and we'll just have to go from there because the kitties come first, and it's frustrating, and I could really use a distraction like this or like coloring, but it's just hard to get to be allow myself to be distracted. So I was actually going to go to my parents last night because when we got back, I mean, the meds and stuff, like, she didn't seem to think that I should be seeing any side effects or anything when we started them on all those meds. And so my assumption was I could go stay the night with my parents last night and he would just be like he is right now, just normal. And the heavy breathing I just had to put it off. I knew I wasn't going to be fun to be around, and yeah. But he's not panning, he's not lethargic, he's eating well. There's no other sign that he's in congestive heart failure. He's just breathing a little faster, a little heavier. Um, which he is taking a diuretic to try to get some of the, if there's any fluid there build up in his lungs, then it'll draw that off there. Mostly he's on the meds he should be on. I'm hoping over the next week, like, maybe it'll improve a little more, because like I said, the point is for him to improve enough to be stabilized. So trust and believe, I am watching him like a hawk. The moment that he shows any other sign, he's going to have to go. But again, we'll try to talk about that more in a color and chat, but that's just kind of where I'm at and what's going on and why I got so quiet all of a sudden. I haven't even colored a cat for Cattober, y'all, but the cat's probably going to be a black cat, so because I mean, they're always all on my mind, but him in particular. All right, well, I hope it is nice here weather-wise. Hopefully everybody has a good weekend. I don't know, I might try to get out and walk or do something just to get outside today. Probably would do me good. Um, but I will be back soon, and I guess if anything changes, if there's an update, I will post it on the post part of my page. Instagram, you'll see it. But thanks, and bye for now.